Some Germans even refer to this as white gold. Spargelzeit. Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to prepare a vegetable that Germans go absolutely crazy for once a year. Asparagus, and not this green asparagus that you might already be familiar with, but instead white asparagus. Growing up here in Berlin, I always remember as a child when it was Spargelzeit or asparagus season, and I'm going to show you how to make a traditional Spargel dish and then also a fresh modern take on the whole thing along with its green relative and some red friends. So for our classic method, we're going to boil white asparagus and serve it with some boiled and peeled potatoes, which I won't be spending a lot of time on today with you because you can subscribe for plenty more potato recipes. Then we're going to top that with a real classic butter and breadcrumb sauce, which is very traditional in German. So the first thing you want to do is peel your asparagus. It grows underground, so the skin is quite tough and fibrous. So be really generous how much you peel and be careful of the very soft and tender top bit and maybe cut off some of the end bit, which is quite rough. And I'm not exaggerating when I say Germans go crazy for this. From mid-April till about the end of June, it's Spargelzeit, asparagus season. Restaurants have special asparagus menus. People at home obviously cook asparagus with their families. There is an asparagus queen that gets crowned. There are asparagus museums, festivals. It's all over the place. And if you don't like asparagus, you're probably not having a good time. The annoying thing is with asparagus is you can never really tell when you've peeled enough, and even if you think you've peeled way too much, sometimes it still is quite tough in some spots. So the eye test isn't good enough. You just kind of have to go with your feeling, and my tip would be just to always do more. Be careful with your asparagus. Finally, the last one. And you'll notice I've got a huge mountain of peelings, and you don't have to throw it away. You can actually make a soup out of it. That's what my mum always does, who is German. Finally done. Let's chop off the end on this one as well and get cooking. So grab your potatoes. These are easier to peel than your asparagus, but cook a little longer, so make sure you get them a head start. So the next little quirk about our white asparagus is that it likes a big pot where it can lie down after a tired day of peeling. So like this, not like that, or like that. Then you want to put some sugar and some salt in. White asparagus has quite a mild flavour, so this is where you're introducing a little bit of other flavours into the occasion. Now your asparagus will cook for around 10 minutes, but depending on the type and the desired consistency, whether you want it soft or with a bit more bite, I would test the waters a little bit before then and just see where it's at. So let's check out our asparagus. This is why you need to check on it, because it can go quite quickly. Now you'll notice there's a little bit of curvature when we pick it up, and that's when it's just about right, al dente as the Italians say. So we're keeping it old school with the sauce, butter and breadcrumb number with a bit of salt and pepper to taste. So you want to melt your butter in the pan and start off quite slowly, so you can use ghee, margarine or any other fat that you prefer. Butter will get a nice nutty flavour if you brown it. So that's what we're going for here in the traditional version. Now we've got a nice brown colour coming up. Have a look. This is the time to put in the breadcrumbs. It smells really golden and crispy. Make sure that you don't burn the butter or the breadcrumbs and stir very quickly. It only takes a few minutes, and take a look at how it looks now. Once you've seasoned your sauce, it's time to dig in. See, our asparagus still has a form. You don't want it too soggy, or at least I don't. A really simple dish, but that's how the Germans love it. Finally, garnish with a little bit of parsley. That's a surefire way to a German's heart. Asparagus. Now, you might not be able to get white asparagus, or perhaps you want to combine the green one with its white relative. So here's a simple salad. The green asparagus is also a lot easier to handle. First of all you need to do is snap off the end of the stalk, feel it out, and you can see it goes from fresh and crunchy to chewy and wooden. Okay, now that you've prepped that asparagus, align the ends and cut them off. Those are the most tender part, as with the white asparagus. The remainder of the stalk isn't going to be too tough, but if you like, you can just cut it lengthways again. But if you like, you can also just cut it again in half so that you make sure you don't have any rough bits. Green asparagus is also easier to cook. You just put it in a pan, and I like to fry it without oil initially. Just get rid of some of the moisture. So because I haven't added oil, the green asparagus is just giving off a little bit of steam now, as you can see here. So once you see it browning a little bit and the steam is really coming off, add in a bit of oil. Usually I wouldn't use olive oil, but I kind of want to use it because that's what's in the dressing as well. So the asparagus can stay warm in the pan, but now I'm going to introduce you to the two other ingredients in the salad, which are arugula or rocket, and that's got a really quite strong and fragrant taste, sort of peppery, and I like that with these other ingredients because the asparagus, both types of asparagus, are quite mild. And talking about peppery, pepper and strawberry go really well together. I think that's about enough, but I'm gonna have some myself. Drop your strawberries in, grab your asparagus from the pan, and it's got a bit of oil coating it because we introduced the oil quite late in the game. So that just means leave off a little bit when you make the dressing. Now, as I said, just hold back on the oil a little bit in your dressing because you've been using it in the frying of the asparagus. So you don't need as much as usual. Usually I go about 2 parts of oil to 1 part vinegar. One thing you definitely don't want to hold back on is black pepper. So we have 2 very different takes on the asparagus phenomenon that sweeps Germany every single year. Let me know which you prefer and whether there's a vegetable in your country that people are as crazy about as Germans are about Spargel. Make sure to subscribe for more German flavors.